Yep. Okay. Go!
Will you hand me my screen box?
Now go.
Okay, so we are on the record in the matter of the City of Riverview versus Timothy Wakeling, 241150. And appearance for the people of the City of Riverview.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Michael Hurley on behalf of the people of the City of Riverview. My P number is 37519.
Thank you.
Your Honor, John Goldthorpe, P 30758, on behalf of Mr. Wakeling. Mr. Wakeling, would you please put your name on the record?
Timothy Wakeling.
All right, thank you. So we also have Ms. Walker on screen, and ma'am, if you can please state your name for the record.
Yes, it's Erika Walker.
Thank you. And we also have Mr. Austin here from DNA, correct?
Yes, correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So I know that Mr. Austin was testifying yesterday, and then the court wanted to have everybody in person because there was a lot of references to different items that were being held up on the screen, so it just been much more convenient for everybody to, that's how it is to look at it in person.
Thank you for that, Your Honor. And then my recollection is I was done with my direct examination of Mr. Austin, and Mr. Golpa was in the process of cross-examination, so that's kind of where we could pick back up again.
That is correct.
Thank you.
So, all right, so if you can please just have a seat and state your statements, spell your first and last names again for the record.
Michael Austin.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Golpa?
Thank you, Your Honor.
So I have a question about fentanyl.
Yes, I show the fentanyl test was done, we have a stick dipped into it, and then there was a question as to whether or not there was a fentanyl test done, and then that's when Mr. Austin was referencing the lab report, or no, a sheet that somebody was
Put in the cup.
somebody was referencing something, that's why I said, no, let's just have everybody come in for
That's
that.
correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's pick up where we are, Mr. Golpa.
But you were discussing, or I was discussing, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
And you now have the Redwood Technology report in front of you, is that correct?
The results?
Yes.
Yes.
And you indicated, I believe, that procedure policy is to, can you explain to me when the strip is put into the cup?
After the probationer hands it back to me, that's when I do the fentanyl test.
Okay, and only if there is a request for fentanyl is the strip placed in there, is that correct?
I only do the fentanyl test if it says fentanyl next to the name.
Okay,
It's the test and fentanyl strip, that's what I get. I don't have anything to do with who gets what.
well, that's what I mean. If the word fentanyl is not next to their name, you wouldn't put a strip in there, would you?
No.
Now, let's, for example, with the first on the document, on amphetamines. You see that on the exhibit?
Yes,
Okay, that was negative, is that correct?
correct.
Whether you put the strip in there for fentanyl or not, that is still tested for the amphetamines, correct?
That'd be a question best to ask of Ms. Walker.
And I'm sorry, let me just clarify that, so because Tanja wasn't here yesterday, this was stipulated as, this is a stipulated exhibit, so people's exhibit 1.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, I just wanted to let Tanja know, so.
If it says test for fentanyl, it would be a fair statement that regardless of whether there was fentanyl in an individual system or not, there should be some indicator or indication on exhibit number 1 that fentanyl was tested for. Would that be a fair statement?
Is exhibit number 1 the strip?
No, exhibit number 1 is the results.
The lab report.
Okay.
Once again, I have nothing to do with these results. I don't have anything to do with data entry, confirmation, results.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. Let's just ask this question. Is there the word fentanyl next to Mr. Wakeling's name to test for fentanyl?
I don't know, it's been since December,
Okay,
but I believe there probably was. I would have to say there probably is because I believe this court, almost everybody gets it.
probably correct. So
Probably
I just want to
correct.
make sure that
I understand.
that's even an issue for this matter. Okay.
Oh, Your Honor.
So is the question whether or not a fentanyl test strip was dipped in to the urine? Is that the question?
Well, he's testified that that's what happened.
No, no. The question was, what happens when you're testing for fentanyl?
Right.
Is that what happened in this case? So let's kind of move along and let's be a little bit more direct with the
Okay,
questions,
well,
please.
thank you, Your Honor. You testified that the only time that you would put a strip into the cup is if you were looking at, when you're looking for fentanyl. Is that correct?
Correct.
You testified that you were the only one, you don't have any independent recollection of this matter, only that you were the only one working that day, correct? You have no idea, quite, and I'm not being argumentative with you, you have no idea what of independent recollection as to whether or not you were supposed to be, he was supposed to be testing for fentanyl, do you?
I do not.
You don't have any idea, and again, I'm not being argumentative with you, as to, let me rephrase that, you don't have anything to do with the results of this report.
Does that have anything to do with the results of the test that's sent out?
Correct. You send out a little jar, you send this by, yeah, you send that by mail.
Can I take a look at that, please? I know it's not necessarily an exhibit, but I'd like to look at it.
This is just when you bought.
That's the clean one, correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the results are handled by Wakeling, California, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, now, how long have you been doing this?
Year and a half, maybe.
Okay, and my understanding is that you're testifying only because of what you would normally do, correct? You don't have, with respect to Mr. Wakeling, you don't have any specific recollection of him coming in, only that you were the only one working there and he tested that day, correct? I just want to make it correct.
My signature is on his chain of custody paper.
Okay, do you have a copy of that with you?
Yes.
And I said, this has a tab on it, and things like that. Is there anywhere on his document that says he was supposed to test for fentanyl?
I don't see anything.
Okay, do you have any documents regarding this testing which said he was supposed to test for fentanyl?
That would probably be on the sign-in sheet.
It would be in the sign-in sheet.
Yes.
You don't have that, is that correct?
Okay, counsel, I'm just trying to figure out what is the purpose of whether or not he was supposed to test for fentanyl or not. Is the issue, was there a strip that dipped in the urine sample? Is that the issue?
That's part of the issue you're
Okay, so let's ask that question.
Well, I want to make sure, because there's, if I may.
Okay, but I want to get moving along here with the questions so that we can get directly to whatever the issue is. So I'm giving both counsel leeway. It can be leading questions, not leading questions. It can be more of a dissertation for an answer. That's fine.
I understand, John. According to your records, correct? What you testified to is the procedure and what you would do to take this test, correct?
Yes.
The only time you would add additional things to the cup or the sample is when you put the strip in for the fentanyl. Is that correct?
Yes.
If there was no request for fentanyl, then you wouldn't put that strip in, and they would just seal the tab up and seal the cup up and ship it off, correct?
Basically, yes.
Okay. And you testified that in this case, you did put the strip in, correct?
If that was my testimony, yes.
But you don't have any recollection of doing that.
I don't think that was his testimony. I think it was a hypothetical that if that occurred, would that have happened? I don't think he specifically said that he put the strip in.
I know, I'm trying, I'm trying to get to that, so can we please just ask that
That's
question?
what I was getting to.
Okay, but it doesn't appear as though he knows for sure, because it's been so long, and he doesn't have any independent recollection.
Okay.
So let's just move along and get to that, because we need to get moving along, not just whether or not your order would not be a dip of the strip.
Okay.
Okay.
So you do not, you don't have any recollection of putting the strip in, correct?
There have been thousands of tests since Mr. Wakeling.
I understand.
Unless it said next to his name that it was a J99 with fentanyl, I would not know.
I understand that, sir. But you did testify about what you did in the bathroom, the laboratory, and opening the cup or having the cup delivered to you, dipping the strip in, that is your natural procedure. Is that correct?
Correct.
And we also testified a little bit about the sanitary conditions, for lack of a better term, of the bathroom. Is that correct?
I believe it was water on the counter.
There was water on the
And
counter.
if the sink was cleaned after each individual.
I asked you that question and you said no.
Testimony was clean at the end of the shift.
Yes. And you
And
also,
also that the outside of the cup would be what would touch anything on the sink. Okay.
I understand that, Charlie. And when you're doing this, what kind of protective equipment do you wear?
Rubber gloves.
Okay?
Mask if on occasion.
Do you change gloves
Yes.
every time?
Not every time.
Okay. And there's only one sink in the bathroom, correct?
Correct.
Now, do you at any point in time advise the participants to wash and dry their hands in the sink before and after each procedure?
There are some that are required to wash prior to, but no.
Okay, and are there soap and water and things to be used in that?
There's soap.
Okay, you don't know, and I understand that, what procedures Mr. Wakeling proceeded. Is that correct?
As far as personal hygiene and washing his hands, I do not know.
Okay. Now, I know that you don't recall specifically with Mr. Wakeling, but if you're going to do the strip testing, do you remove the packaging on each strip and set it on the sink counter before inserting the test strip into the sample?
Now you're asking me, do I set the test on the counter before?
You put the strip on the counter, open the cup and,
Yeah, but it's,
okay,
I know where you're going with that, and it's
I'm
not,
just
it's
asking a
not by
question.
itself,
Do you do
it's sealed in a package.
that wasn't my question, so.
Okay.
Hold on, this is gonna be my question, I'm just gonna interrupt right here to get to the point. Can you please walk us through what you do if you have to, put the test strip in the urine sample for the fentanyl test? Now,
Yes, Your Honor.
for purposes of the recording, if you can, I know it's gonna be very redundant, but if you're going to open up the package, I need you to say what it is you're doing as you're doing it. Okay, for the record. Counsel, do you have any objection to that?
I'm sorry, no,
No,
you're
Your Honor.
Okay, so let's do that.
The cup, Your Honor, you have the cup.
Actually, you know what, let's give them the cup. And
Okay.
we're just gonna watch right here, okay. I might need you to stand up though, so we can all see. Okay, so what is it you're doing right now?
This seal right here, after the probationer comes in and fills out their paperwork,
Okay,
they'll initial this piece, they'll sign, and well, they sign and initial, this they keep.
okay, hold on a second. When you say they initial, what is it? Please be descriptive
I'm
of what
sorry,
that is.
this is their security seal, it's
Okay.
gonna go across the top of the seal test.
Got it.
Alright, so that'll go, okay, before that, they're gonna hand me their sample. And then the test will be open.
Okay, so you open the test.
I open the test.
Okay,
I open,
and now you're still in the bathroom at
it's
this point.
still in the back. By
Okay,
this time, they're usually done going, they're standing right next to me.
okay,
Once it's out of the package, then it's removed from protective thing. It's held in there for a couple seconds until it registers, then it just gets set down.
hold on, wait, what gets set down?
The test, the fentanyl
The
test.
fentanyl test gets set down.
Fentanyl test only has to be in there a few seconds for it to register.
Okay, so you put the protective cover back on it and then you set it down.
Correct.
Okay,
Seal it back up. This
close the
seal,
lid. Is that-
close the lid on the test. The one that the defendant was holding will go across the top. And the one I've got will go across and seal both, overlap both ends. With their paperwork, it will go inside the bag. Seal up. And it's taken to the office and put in the outgoing basket.
Okay,
Okay, so now we
now the
see
strip
step by step. Okay, well,
that's now sitting on the counter.
No, when it's done, throw it in the trash. This test has no bearing on this unless it's positive.
you say this test, which
This,
test you
this
referring to?
fentanyl test has nothing to do with this test that's going out unless it's positive.
Okay, so if a fentanyl test is negative, what do you do with the strip?
Just throw it in the trash.
If it's positive, what do you do?
Go to the office and let the boss know we do the paperwork.
Okay, so would that go in a separate bag or a separate
No, we don't
mailing
even say
section?
that. It doesn't get saved, it just gets tossed.
Or so it's tossed?
Mhm.
Okay,
Well, so in other words, you do have some understanding of what is on.
okay, counsel, let me just ask this question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What is the relevance of continuing down the fentanyl path when it, well, let me just, was Mr. Wakeling negative for fentanyl? If there's not anything for fentanyl that is going on, would it be your testimony that he did not test positive for fentanyl?
Correct.
Okay, so, I guess my question is this, why are we going down the fentanyl path when your client is, alleged to have tested positive for alcohol?
Your Honor, because the main thing is, the only time there is anything entered into the cup, for lack of a better term, is this fentanyl test. Now, there was a test of fentanyl. At least we assume there was. We're just talking procedural. He did testify that would be normally, but we don't know.
Okay, so, I see where you're going, counsel. That question's going to be for Ms. Walker, not for Mr. Austin.
Your Honor,
Because I believe what you're going to ask is something along the lines of, could that test affect the results of the urine?
well, I'm going to indicate also that because of the actions of putting the test, the strip down onto the ground or down onto there, this is another way that this could have affected the results of the urine
Okay,
that
the
was in.
testimony that he just showed us, we had a great show and tell. He takes it out of the protective package, the sealed package. He then takes a test strip. He takes the end of the test strip, the protective covering, and he takes the test strip and puts it, dips it right into the urine. Is the question whether or not he followed that exact procedure for Mr. Wakeling's test, for Mr. Wakeling's test?
Well, no,
Is
because,
that the question?
no, because that's the question of what he normally does, but
Okay, he doesn't have any independent recollection from that day. So
Exactly.
what I'm saying is we need to move on. I'm not gonna continue down the path of fentanyl test.
I understand. When you are receiving the items, do you remove the sample cup lid and set it on the sink counter next to the test strip before handling the open sampling cup to participant?
Can you repeat that, please?
When you open up the documents and you're removing the sample cup, the lid, you put that on the counter, before handing it to the, participant?
I usually set, this bag's laying flat, so I usually lay it on the bag.
Okay, you don't have any independent recollection, no? If you
No, that's
did that on
pretty much
that
what
day?
I do every time.
Okay. And you've shown us here, but I take it that you, insert the test strip directly into the main sample cup, is that correct?
Correct.
And you already testified that the participants fill out, sign any paperwork and things like that before proceeding, correct? Before proceeding. And what's the purpose of having that signed sealing label?
What's the purpose of what?
Of the signed sealing label?
Chain of custody.
Also, anything else? Just chain of custody?
Which label are you talking about? The initial one, or are you talking about their signature?
The signed sealing label, the label that you say they signed.
It's just, they know that they sealed it.
Okay, has nothing to do with whether or not certain procedures were followed.
Pardon me?
Has nothing to do with following of any procedures, only that here it is, and this is your urine, basically.
Basically, same protocol, everyone.
Okay. No other questions at this time, right?
All right, thank you.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much for coming in, Mr. Austin. Thank you for the, physical, show and tell of how the process works.
Thank you.
Mr.
Okay,
Austin, you released, Your Honor, he's off work today.
yes, I mean,
No.
yes, you're all, you're.
No, we can't, he has to stay.
Thank you.
He has to stay.
Okay, and so Mr. Hurley.
One more witness, Your Honor, Ms. Walker.
Okay, Ms. Walker, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony about to give this matter the truth, the truth.
I do.
All right, thank you, and, counsel?
Thank you. Ms. Walker, would you state your full name for the record, please?
It's Erika Denise Walker.
And you are involved in this matter as a forensic toxicologist, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you were kind enough to supply a copy of your curriculum vitae to the court through the probation department. I've supplied it, copied it to Mr. Gopal, he's seen it.
That is correct.
Submitted as an exhibit for the court. For the court's record.
Okay.
So that'll be people stipulated exhibit 2.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Mr. Gopal, having read the toxicologist CV, would you submit or stipulate to the fact that she's credentialed here?
Just a couple of seconds. Just a couple of questions.
Board here? Okay, thank you.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Ms. Walker, in terms of your expertise, I think you're more than qualified, but if you could relate to the court some of your background. You've been a forensic toxicologist for how many years?
Yes, I've been a toxicologist since 1995. I've testified in over 400 courts, federal, state, and local court. I do have a bachelor's in biology with a minor in chemistry. I also have a master's in community health.
And your master's is from Cleveland State
Hold on,
University in
hold on.
Ohio?
Sorry, hold on. What's that?
Please stipulate
Stipulate?
for the purpose of these proceedings.
Okay, purposes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Walker, will stipulate to the fact that you're an expert in this and you've qualified to testify as an expert. With regard to this particular matter involving Mr. Wakeling, you've seen a copy of the toxicology report. The ascension number has been provided to you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's been submitted to the court as exhibit already, number one. That, as I understand it, did you do any testing on this yourself, or is this something that you're involved with supervising, or what was your involvement?
Actually, I'm the custodian of records. I review and interpret drug results for various agencies throughout the United States. I also testify to those results. Sometimes I do perform testing for the results. I also provide litigation packets and interpret and letters of interpretation. I participate in peer review and also ongoing studies.
Okay, is the records reflect that you'd had any hand in any of the testing here on this sample?
I was the person who reviewed all the testing procedures and Once it got to the laboratory until the final laboratory report was drawn up and sent out to the client.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you've said and heard the testimony from Mr. Austin that the specimen was collected, it was placed into a sealed container, and it was placed in the mail to your facility in California, correct?
Yes, sir.
The lab would have received it and then commenced testing on the urine sample that was provided, correct?
Yes, sir.
And as I understand it, believe me, I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form. I barely understand science at all. But as I understand what I read, it looked like it's a two-tiered process. If you get a preliminary result, then you have to confirm it. Is that true?
Yes, I can explain. Once it come to our laboratory, either UPS or FedEx, an accessioning technician will review the specimen along with the requisition form. On there, he will make sure that the seal is intact on the specimen and all labels match. If everything is fine and moves forward for testing, if something is wrong with the specimen, then what we would do, we would contact the client and let them know that sometimes it may come in as damaged and no specimen, so we will request a new specimen to come in, or it may be a little bit of the specimen and we see if we can still move forward with testing. But if everything is fine with the specimen, then we move forward for testing. Again, let me back up a little bit. If there was anything wrong with the specimen, it would be notated on the report underneath the comments section on the report. But in this instance, there was nothing. Everything was fine with this specimen, so it moved forward for testing. It went through a pre-screen, and then it moved forward for confirmation.
Okay, thank you. And just for the record, your lab report indicates two confirmed positive tests, one involving ethyl. Go ahead and say it.
Ethyl glucuronide, which is ETG,
And then sulfate.
That's correct.
And those both have nanograms that are, it looks like a 500 was the base, and then the ethyl glycuride had a 4,280 nanograms. And then on the second one, it looked like 125 was the level, and this had exceeded that with a number of 2,253 nanograms. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. What you were referring to as far as it went through the confirmation method, which is our gold star method, which confirms the screen. It goes through a screening method, and the screening method just tests for classes of drugs. There in the screening method can be a false positive that can take place because it's testing for classes of drugs. But once it's something that's detected or identified there, it moves forward for confirmation. And what confirmation does, it rules out the classes and looks for a specific drug. In this case, it was our cutoff at our laboratory is set at 500 nanograms per milliliter for the ETG, which is the ethyl glucuronide. And here again, it was at 4,280 nanograms per milliliter. For the ETS, our set cutoff limit is at 125 nanograms per milliliter. And for the ETS for this specimen was at 2,253 nanograms per milliliter. Anything above our cutoff?
I'm sorry.
Two things. Can I have 1 second to go back to the office to find a piece of paper? And second of all, I'd like to go back to questions and answers.
Well, Councilman, I'm trying to move this along as much as
Give me a
possible.
second.
Hold on. But as far as questions and answers, I said that I was giving latitude
Okay.
where there can just be some explanation instead of question and answer.
Okay.
Because sometimes us in the legal field don't necessarily ask the correct question, and this way Ms. Walker can testify as to the procedure, and we don't have to get bogged down with questions that may not be relevant or accurate.
I understand.
Okay.
Or intelligent?
Well, that too, but okay.
If I can.
Yes, that's fine, okay. You said you were gonna run.
Okay.
Did you say he was gonna run, because he wanted to run it out this?
Johnson? John's an old man.
See, now he's right back.
I'm old, he's got 10 years out of me.
There we go. Okay,
And stints and hips.
okay, all right. Okay, you may continue.
Thank you.
Ms. Walker.
Ready, John?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Walker, thank you for your patience. All right, so just to confirm now, the nanograms that are reported here on the summary results, that seems to me like it's an excessively high number. It's not just it's not a small level of the amount, correct?
Only
If it
thing
was
that,
under 500, if it was under 500 nanograms, it would probably not show up as a positive at all, correct?
that's correct, sir.
So in this particular one with the 500, this is 4 times that amount, well, 8 times that amount. So that sounds like a strong number,
Yes, sir.
a high level. Okay, thank you. All right, well, Your Honor, that's really all I have with regard to witness. I'll let Mr. Goldpaw handle cross. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Goldpaw.
Thank you. Ms. Walker?
Hello. Good afternoon.
You yourself did not conduct the test on the urine sample, is that correct?
That's correct, sir. I did not do the testing for this test.
You were given, and part of your job, you were given the results of the test, and then you interpreted them. Would that be a fair statement?
I was able to review all the data that was gathered for this test, and I reviewed all the testing procedures and also to the report.
Okay, now, there's been some discussion, and I'm just going to ask you briefly. The only thing that shows on the test was a positive for, I can't say either word. Yeah, so ETG, ETS. Yeah. Ethyl.
Just that you can just say ETG.
ETG.
ETG, yes.
ETG.
Mr. Rickman, I know you're trying to help, but we can't have that interruption. Thank you.
He should get rid of this.
No, I understand.
I understand. ETG. And that ETG was screened positive, and that came back at 500 nanograms per milligram. That was what you then send for a confirming test. Is that correct?
Yes, once it goes through our screening, which is either detected or positive, then it moves forward for confirmation. That is correct.
Okay. And according to exhibit number 1, the ETG, there was a second test, and that came back at 4280 nanograms per milligram. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And out of that same sample, there was an ethyl sulfate, ETS, for 2253. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, it was also alleged in this violation that the sample was diluted. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
It's just that it was tested for creatine. Creatine is a byproduct of muscle metabolism, which is basically consistent over a 24-hour period. And anything above 20 milligrams per deciliter is considered as normal. And at this level was at 13.3 milligrams per deciliter. And basically between 10 and 20 is basically what we say. It could be a change in dietary habits, or it can be ingestion of more liquid consumption.
Okay. And would it be a fair statement that it doesn't come solely from alcohol?
Maybe I'm not understanding. You mean the dilution? or the creatinine.
Yeah, right.
No, that's correct. It's contained. Everybody has creatinine, and again, it's just a byproduct of muscle metabolism, which is again for normal, it's like 20 milligrams per deciliter is considered as normal, and this is at 13.3.
Okay, and now, in looking at this, do all the other specimen tests fall within the normal range in this particular matter?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
You've indicated that the creatinine was part of the test, and that was above the normal range. Is that correct? The creatinine?
No, it's below.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was just between the 10 and 20, which could again be changing dietary habits, or just ingestion of more liquid consumption.
Okay. But I guess that's what I was trying to say. But we do not know what type of liquid added to that. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir. I wouldn't be able to tell. No, sir.
Now, with respect to the pH and other matters, 1 second, try to keep this straight.
Wait, what's that, counsel?
I just wanted to ask you. I just need to.
Okay, are you asking Ms. Walker or are you asking?
No, I want to make sure I got the right question. So now there are other. Let me ask this question. Do all the other specimen validity tests fall within the normal range?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is it normal to have a diluted specimen with an ETG 8.6 times the limit and an
Bless
ETS
you.
18 times the limit?
Oh, I've seen from one spectrum to the next, so it's not unusual for this to happen.
Yes, my question is, I understand it's not unusual, but is it normal?
I mean, it can happen. It can happen. I don't know what you classify as normal. So, in all fairness, bless you.
Do the results that you reviewed in the particular sample indicate potential contamination or outside contributing factors, such as environmental or other non-alcoholic beverage consumption?
No, only thing I can do is speak to my report. My report with the specimen that came in that is consistent with ingestion of ethyl alcohol.
What type of environmental factors would play a role in the production of ETG and ETS besides alcoholic beverage consumption?
If a person might have like a yeast infection or was it autoimmune syndrome, things like that can happen. That can produce ETG and ETS. But usually they get that confirmed by a medical doctor.
I understand that. And would it be a fair statement that besides what you just said, that other environmental things might contribute to the ETG and the ETG and ETS limits, such as employment, physical activity, etc.?
No, I have not. As long as in my educational experience and my years of experience, I've never heard of anything like that.
Would it be a fair statement that a disadvantage to this test is because the ETG can be detected in samples at very low levels, and it can also be positive after exposure to alcohol from non-beverage sources or incidental exposure, which might lead to false positives?
Well, false positives again do take place in a pre-screen. So like hand sanitizers, mouthwash, over-the-counter medications that can take place. But we follow the SAMHSA guidelines. It's the Substance Abuse Mental Health Administration, and anything below 500 nanograms per milliliter might be considered as incidental exposure. But anything above that would not.
And you said hand sanitizers, things like that, I understand that. What about, I mean, you said, hand sanitizers, that's a one-shot deal and it's very quick, correct?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Use or use sanitizers and that would get into the system, correct?
Well, if you do skin exposure, it can be.
Right. And you would hit, I think, mouthwash and over-the-counter medicine, etc. Now, based on these levels, is it possible with this biomarker to distinguish small amounts of drinking from extraneous exposure to alcohol?
I wouldn't be able to tell that. No, with this test, I would not be able to determine how much this person has drank. No.
Okay. Now, I guess you indicated that a person could use hand sanitizers or use other cleaning materials or have other liquids get onto his or her body, which have an effect on this. Is that correct?
Yes, incidental exposure, again, it can be, hand sanitizers, mouthwash, over-the-counter medications can contain ethyl alcohol.
Okay. And what effect would recent and extended ETG exposure have upon the production of the ETG and ETS in the body?
Well, ETG can be in the body up to 80 hours after ingestion, and ethanol up to 12 hours, and then it breaks down into the ETG, ETS.
And so an individual could be exposed to this production of exposed to the either hand sanitizers or something along those lines, using them long before he or she is tested, and it may appear in the body. Is that correct? And
yes.
And that would be added to the calculations. Is that correct?
If it's possible that they can use hand sanitizers or take other medications, and then also to drink an alcoholic beverage, and it will add to the more levels of the ethyl alcohol.
Would it be a fair statement that well, let me ask you a question. Are you aware if in antifreeze, for example, there is ethylene glycol?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about, and this ethylene glycol adds to the ETG and ETS in the body. Is that correct?
It can add just if it's ethyl alcohol, then it can produce levels in the body. But anything below 500 nanograms is considered as incidental exposure.
I understand that. But if there is a exposure to the antifreeze, or as you've indicated, other items, of an extensive amount that could be over the testing limit. Is that correct?
You mean over 500 nanograms per milliliter? I wouldn't be able to tell the type of exposure. Only thing I can do is just verify or report that anything above that is considered as detected or positive, sir.
But it's not a detector that the test results were a indication that there was alcohol consumed, only that there was this ethylene which could raise those limits. Is that correct?
It's consistent with ethyl alcohol. And ethyl alcohol breaks down into, again, the ETG and ETS is the alcohol metabolites, which breaks down into the body.
Because the testimony was, counsel, that, and based upon her interpretation of the results, that it's in the levels that it was ingestion, and that's what her testimony was, which is why I think you went down the path that you went down.
That's correct.
All right, are there any further questions?
Just one more. No other questions this time, then?
Any follow-up?
One question.
Correct, I should say.
Thank you. Ms. Walker, how much ethyl alcohol would you have to ingest in the form of antifreeze or hand wash to get the numbers that you're getting in this result?
I would not be able to determine that because everybody's body is different. So I will not be able to answer that correctly.
You can't quantify it in any way?
No, I cannot.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Just on that question. Now, Mr. Hurley asked you how much antifreeze or sanitizer you would have to ingest. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That antifreeze or sanitizers would get into the system by going through the skin. Isn't that correct?
It's possible that way too. Yes, that's one way.
I mean, that's one way. Another way is sitting there drinking a gallon of antifreeze. But it could go in either system. If a person is using items or using the sanitizer, that's how it could also get into the system. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Nothing else, Sean?
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Ms. Walker. But let me just ask one question. Antifreeze is poisonous, correct?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
I just wanted to confirm that.
Okay,
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Is Ms. Walker excused?
yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you so much for your patience today.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any
Bye-bye.
questions?
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
No, Your Honor.
No further witnesses.
Okay, and for the defense.
Your Honor, this time we call Mr. Wakeling.
Okay. All right, thank you. If, what is it you brought with you to the stand?
Just notice.
I'm sorry?
Just notice.
No, it has to be, please put it upside down and on the side there, yes, thank you. All right, and counsel, you may proceed. Please keep in mind the time, it's like 8 after 4. When I say that, I'm not saying you can't have your time, I'm just indicating to please ask more concise, direct questions.
Sir, can you tell me put your name on the record, please?
Timothy Wakeling.
And can you tell court what your occupation is?
I'm a senior manager and a service manager for a power generation company
And,
and a senior validation engineer.
okay, and what do you do for that company?
Right now, I'm
Can
currently
you just speak up a little bit more into the microphone, please?
Right now, I'm currently in charge of all power generation operations for the entire company, UPS, DC power plant, and diesel generator.
And on, as part of your job to go out and fix machines or oversee fixing of power generators,
Correct.
and It's alleged that you tested positive for alcohol, contrary to the provisions of your probation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it's alleged that you consumed this on Monday, December 9th of 2024. Is that correct? That's the allegation.
Yes.
Okay. Did you consume any alcohol 5 days prior to the sample that you submitted to DNA?
No.
Have you consumed any alcoholic beverages during the entire time since your bond or beginning of your probation in this matter?
No.
Do you regularly undergo random drug and alcohol testing for work-related purposes?
Yes.
How often do you normally test for work?
At least once a month.
Is that continuing even now?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been participating in random drug testing, screening for work?
25 to 28 years.
Do you regularly or occasionally consume alcoholic beverages prior to this matter? Yeah.
No.
Did you prior to this matter?
No.
Why not?
Was diagnosed with a heart condition, and I'm on heart medications now that do not like exposure to consumed alcohol. I have bad reactions to it, and I have stopped drinking as of about between February and March of 2004.
And
2004?
I'm sorry, 2024, I'm sorry. 2024, sorry.
can you summarize your activities for Sunday, December 8th and Monday, December 9th?
Yes, I was working in the shop.
Speak up, sir.
Yes, I was working in the shop in Wixom from 9 o'clock in the morning until about 3:30 in the afternoon. I was building a cooling system heater unit for a very large generator. And went home, showered, cleaned up, started cooking dinner, and received an emergency call at 5:45. And I proceeded to a job site. It was on that job site at 7 o'clock in Sterling Heights. Was on that job site continuously until 2:30 in the morning on Monday morning. Then traveled back home, was home about 3:30, showered, went to sleep again, woke up about 9 o'clock on Monday, proceeded to acquire the parts at Michigan Caterpillar at 2 different locations, drove back out to Sterling Heights, finished fixing the generator that was broken, disconnected the portable roll-up generator that we had to bring out in the middle of the night to be able to take the main generator offline, and then proceeded from there at 3:30 in the afternoon to go from Sterling Heights down to DNA testing in Woodhaven because my color had been called that day.
Okay, and what time did you arrive at the DNA testing, if you recall?
About 5:45, 6 o'clock.
Were you exposed to, did you have any time to clean up or wash after working all day?
No,
When you arrived at the testing center, were you given the opportunity to clean up?
no, there have never been paper towels or soap at DNA testing facility. Not a single time that I've been there. The only time I've seen paper towels there have been in the office, and you have to ask for them to take to the bathroom with you.
Were you exposed to any chemicals during the previous 2 days, the 8th and the 9th?
Yes, completely saturated in antifreeze from head to toe for about 20 hours, 18 to 20 hours.
Okay, and what was that? What were you,
Ethylene glycol, polypropylene glycol, polypropylene ethanol. Yes,
engine coolant?
engine coolant.
Did you have any engine coolant actively on your hands or clothing at the time of the testing?
Yes, saturated, head to toe.
Did you notify the testing facility of your dilemma?
No,
Were you able to wash your hands before submitting samples on that day?
no,
Did you observe the sample collection technician change his gloves at any time from when he signed in that day until you submitted your sample?
I have never observed the sample collection technician ever change his gloves in between sample participants, ever.
How many participants did you witness the sample collection technician servicing before changing his gloves before you submitted your sample?
4.
Did you witness Did you witness the sample collection technician place a test strip in your sample club?
Yes,
Tell me how he did it.
the explanation that was given earlier was simplified and inaccurate. The cup is handed to you empty with the lid off. The test strip is removed from the packaging and the lid are thrown into the trash can immediately. The test strip is set on the sink and the lid is set on the sink, sometimes right side up, sometimes right side down, and the cup is handed to you. You submit your sample and hand it back, at which point the test strip is taken up off of the sink, set into the counter where the lid is grabbed, and then if you're positive and or negative, you make a joke every time about, oh, you're not pregnant, and then set the lid back on. And then walk into the office where all of the sealing occurred after your sample tag has been, you do not witness the actual sealing of your sample while you're standing there in the laboratory. You're actually walking out the door while your sample is being sealed and then your sample is bagged in another room.
I see. And would it be a fair statement that, what was the general condition of the laboratory at the time of your visit on December 9th?
Atrocious.
What do you mean by that?
Water everywhere, urine all over urine all over the floor, urine all over the toilet, the back of the toilet bowl, as well as the toilet tank, urine on the wall, and I don't think there was a dry area anywhere along the edge of the sink to set anything on. My sample lid was set in liquid water, and every time that I tested at that location, my sample lid was set in some type of standing water around the sink.
Were these the same conditions that you noted on each time you tested?
It was slightly worse on this particular occasion because it was snowing that day and there was salt and snow melted all over the floor as well.
What have you taken upon yourself regarding testing since you were notified of this?
Since I've been notified of this, I have been testing at the same facility that I test with for work, which is Concentra. They're close, local, not necessarily the top state of the art, but far superior in every way to both DNA and the current facility that I'm testing at on site.
Would you consider the services that you've been receiving from Concentra, which you're paying out of your pocket, to be better than?
Okay, I don't see the relevance in it. Let's
Okay.
move on, council. We are at 4:20.
Okay, right. You've contested the results, correct?
Correct.
You've heard the explanations, or the testimony of both individuals. And you denied consuming any alcohol, is that correct?
Correct.
Why is that?
I did not consume any alcohol. I have not consumed any alcohol since the beginning of my probation. It's not a difficult thing to do. I don't like it when I have problems with my heart. So I did not have any trouble whatsoever ceasing alcohol intake.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long.
You're welcome.
Mr. Wakeling, you're somewhat sophisticated as an engineer, correct?
Correct.
You understand testing and results and stuff like that?
And I am a biochemist also by trade.
Okay, you seem to cast great blame, I guess, on the testing facility for it not being in a sanitary pristine condition, correct?
That is correct.
And that you immersed yourself or came in contact with ethyl alcohol over the course of the weekend before the testing, correct?
Correct.
And you had an opportunity to wash yourself
No, I did
at
not.
your home?
No, I did not.
Okay, you did not. Well, when you left your place of work in order to drive down there, why did you not wash yourself up, knowing that you were gonna be tested for alcohol?
Time.
Pardon?
Time.
Time?
Yes.
How long does it take to wash your hands? Take some soap and wash your hands and face and dry it off. How long does that take? A minute? Less?
From a job site, out in the middle of a field, it takes finding a facility where you can actually stop and wash.
Well, it would seem to me that if I was on my way to get tested for alcohol testing, I would make sure, knowing that you had immersed yourself and came in contact with ethyl alcohol, I would have seen that I would have washed up and taken great effort to make sure that I'm gonna go in there as clean as I can be. Is that the wrong way to look at it?
Yes, I would say that is the wrong way to look at it. I would see that any testing facility that is going to be utilizing any type of test results to incarcerate or extend probation for someone to have the basic sanitary necessities on site so that that person can go ahead and clean themselves up.
And is it in fact that prior to the date you gave the sample that resulted in the test that's before the court, which I believe is December 9th, you had been to this facility previously and given samples, correct?
Correct.
So you were aware of the lack of pristine condition that you're complaining of now?
Correct.
Well, if that was the case, why wouldn't you take some effort to deal with it?
I did. I contacted my probation officer about it in our next probation meeting and made note of it. To
Why
what point
didn't
she
you do
said she
something
would
to
look
wash
into it.
yourself up is the question. If it was of utmost importance to you, why didn't you take the effort to do it, even if it took you a minute?
Well, again, why should it be my responsibility to find a facility somewhere along my route to stop and clean up when the facility that I'm going to and every other state-of-the-art facility of its kind have those facilities on site and require the use of those facilities to clean yourself up so that you do not contaminate examples?
So this is their fault. Everything's their fault. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had, Your Honor.
Okay. And you direct?
Just one question. You indicated you left your work site. Where was that work site?
Sterling Heights,
And you went to where?
directly to on-site testing.
Which is located where?
Woodhaven,
And you had a time limit to get there, is that correct?
that's correct.
And you did not have an opportunity to stop,
No,
hoping at least that there would be something there for you to utilize it.
that's correct. When a telecommunications site is down, you do not leave the job site until it is complete. If you have to leave the job site either due to exhaustion or lack of parts, you do so, which is what I did in this occasion, and then you return to the job site until it's back up and running. It'd be no different than the building generator here.
Understood. Okay, thank you. That was-
Okay. And
Nothing further, Your Honor.
I have a few questions. So what time did you leave the job site in Sterling Heights?
About 3:30,
3:30 PM.
correct.
Okay. And you had to be to Woodhaven just so long as it was before 7, correct?
You have to be there between 6:30 and 6:45,
Okay. So you went directly from Sterling Heights to Woodhaven.
correct,
And you reside in Trenton, correct?
correct.
And Trenton's along the way from Sterling Heights to Woodhaven.
That is correct,
And so your testimony was that you were saturated from head to toe in antifreeze.
correct.
And so, well, I guess one question is, if you're saturated in antifreeze for 20 hours from head to toe, I kind of feel like that would burn at some point.
It does,
Okay.
badly. It hurts a lot.
Okay.
My job is
so-
not easy, it's sometimes very, very hard.
So, sir, I can understand that, but I guess why wouldn't you, stop and shower on your way to Woodhaven since you had plenty of time from Sterling Heights to Woodhaven?
I would have had plenty of time by leaving at 3:30, and that was my entire intention. Unfortunately, it was the first snow of the season. And it took a little bit over 2 hours to, no, 2.5 hours to get from Sterling Heights to Woodhaven. And I went directly there due to the fact that I was dealing with that type of horrible traffic and did not know whether or not I was going to run into it again, and did not want to miss a test and just assumed, well, you're gonna have to wash up when I'm there.
But you, as Mr. Hurley stated, you knew that they didn't have proper sanitation.
That's correct,
So why would you expect on that date that they were going to have proper sanitation?
because I expected Natalie Shaw, my probation officer, to make mention of it to the testing site and have it corrected from the time prior to this time, and it was not.
And this is the first time that you've had a positive alcohol test, correct?
And only, yes,
And the conditions have been the same throughout all of your testing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And your testimony also was that
Hang on.
you have, no, you don't get to tell me to hang on, sir. No, I've already answered my question. You also stated that you stopped drinking since between February and March of 2024 due to your heart condition and medication, correct?
That's correct.
Your offense date in this matter that you're on probation for was August 2nd of 2024, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, which is after February or March of 2024.
That's correct.
Okay. Alright. Any further?
Just one question.
Okay.
On the day in question, besides the snow, you are coming from a work site, is that correct?
That's right.
You indicated previously that this was not the first time you tested there, and on the previous other occasions, you going from a work site to your testing, or you coming from a cleaner environment?
Yes.
Yes,
Coming
ma'am.
from a cleaner environment.
So there was no need to stop at some gas station or someplace so you could clean up before you were tested, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing else, sir?
Any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And any further witnesses for the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Right? And Mr. Hurd?
Summation?
Yes,
Comment? Closing?
yes, whatever you want to call it.
As I understand it, on a violation of probation, the standard here is preponderance of the evidence. We've got clear proof that there's a toxicology report that showed Mr. Wakeling had over the amount of the base amount that's allowed, according to the toxicologist, 125 nanograms or 500 nanograms. Mr. Wakeling puts forth an argument that he appears to have an answer for everything. That's just my observation. You know, he's somewhat sophisticated in this. He understands the process. He's advising counsel how to ask questions to the toxicologist. He knows that if he's immersing himself in fluid, that he should probably, if he's going to go to get it tested, alcohol-based fluid, I would think you would clean yourself up, you know, especially if he knows that the place is not the most sanitary place and that he's in fact complained about it. So at some point, it would seem that the prudent thing to do is, if I'm going to go have a test that's going to try to determine if I violated probation by drinking alcohol or been exposed to alcohol, I would wash up. You know, it's not too much to ask. Oh yeah, but it snowed that day, Judge. It was traffic was bad. You know, it's like the scene from the Blues Brothers where the guy's got a million excuses. Whatever you put out there, the guy's got an excuse for it. So I think that, you know, either he's a tragic victim of circumstance or he's a liar. So I don't know which it is. That's your decision here. It's a question of fact. You want to give him the benefit of the break, but I think the people have established by preponderance of the evidence that it's a violation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cooper?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Mr. Hurley tells you what the right burden of proof is. The question is, however, Your Honor, this is twofold. It's interesting, and I'm laying it out, and I know there's a lot of testing going on. The technician had no independent recollection of this matter. Yes, his signature was on it, and he said, well, this is what we normally do, this is how we previously do it, so forth and so on. The court, and I still find it interesting that they do the fentanyl test, or he doesn't even know if he did a fentanyl test on this case. And that's fine, but that is just one other way that this procedure and the whole testing facility could have contributed to a contaminated substance. You heard the testimony of Mr. Wakeling, who said how the testing occurred and what really happened the day he was there. And I get the impression it probably happens every time he's there or was there. You also indicated that unlike the demonstration that was shown, that was not placed in the cup. It was placed in water. The place was a mess, and this adds to the contamination. The testimony from Ms. Walker indicated that there is more than one way to get this diluted or false testing. I find some questions about that, where she can also from hand wash, engine oil, I think the antifreeze, and Mr. Hurley said, well, you wouldn't drink consume the antifreeze. Mr. Wakeling has always maintained the reason he went there. I mean, he was ordered to be testing. He was at work. He was in a job that required him to be in constant contact with a number of items. And Ms. Walker testified, there are many things that add to this ethylene, ETG, that are not alcohol. Food, we know about the mouthwash, and we've addressed that issue. This is not a claim of, oh, I took the mouthwash by accident. This is a claim that this was a faulty testing situation due to the obtaining of the specimen, as well as not taking into account his testimony that other things added to the high for the reaching that limit. I would ask the court to find a knife.
Okay, thank you. All right, the court heard testimonies from both Mr. Austin as well as Mr. Wakeling regarding the conditions of the facility, very drastically different. The court also heard testimony from Ms. Walker regarding the levels and that the testing results and her analysis of the information that she reviewed was consistent with ingestion. The court will also note that, as Mr. Austin testified, the majority of the clients that test at DNA from this court have fentanyl testing as well. The court will also note that your client testified he's often in contact with a lot of chemicals and antifreeze that contain alcohol. Your client also testified that he is a biochemist, which the court would agree your client would have knowledge as to the interaction and what the ramifications are for contact or whatnot. It's important to note that your client testified that he is often dealing with chemicals and the antifreeze and things of that nature for his job. Yet, and that the state of the facility is subpar. And that's a continuing thing. Yet this is the only time he's tested positive for alcohol. The fentanyl testing happens, and all the testing, the contact with the chemicals, the antifreeze, the lack of cleanliness that's alleged in the facility, that's always present based on your client's testimony. Yet, this one particular time, your client wants this court to believe that the conditions of the facility, the fact that your client was saturated with antifreeze would account for the 4,280 nanograms per milliliter of ETG. The court also notes that from Sterling Heights to Trenton, well, Trenton is on the way from Sterling Heights to Woodhaven, and Mr. Wakeling, knowing the conditions that he is testified to as it relates to the facility, and that he was saturated from head to toe for 20 hours in antifreeze, which I'm not even sure that's physically possible, that he would have stopped at his home, which was on the way to Woodhaven, to clean up and shower. So the court finds by preponderance of the evidence that Mr. Wakeling did violate probation, that there was consumption of alcohol, and the court is going to adopt the recommendation as put forth. court's going to order probation to continue your complete terms and conditions of probation. The court's going to order $50 probation violation fee. We're going to order increased testing and 45 days on the alcohol tether. All right, you will receive, based upon the hour, you will receive something from Ms. Shaw probably tomorrow or by Friday within the money order. She's already left for the day, I presume. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
You have got to be kidding me. What is going on today? This is a joke. This is a joke. Today is an absolute joke. We need an interpreter.
I need an interpreter when I cannot express myself sometimes.
Joke. Oh my God, sir, put that cigarette out. I don't give a crap that you are outside of this. What is wrong with everybody today? You know what, Miss Reed, we're gonna start bringing people in person. People gonna learn how to act in a courtroom.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Ma'am? Ma'am? Can you hear it?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I have no patience for that. And trust me, out of the day, I'm sitting up here, I'm the one that needs a drink.